Welcome to TMG People First podcast. We are joined here in season 2 by a really good friend of mine and mentor, Russ Palmer. Russ is the president and owner of Titan Restoration of AZ, a full-service restoration company helping homeowners recover from water, fire, and property damage. And we're excited to chat with him today. He started in 1994 with one van and has scaled the company to be one of the largest privately held, solely owned restoration companies in the Southwest. So congratulations on your success, Russ, and we are thrilled to have you here, man.
Well, appreciate it. Appreciate the partnership that's been here. I mean, I think I was your first client back in the day, and I'm still, Mahoney and Titan are still going strong.
We are, man. Yeah, 2008, we started doing business together. You took a chance on me, and I'll never forget it, man. So thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for stopping by. So we have a tradition that we started. I guess now it's an official tradition because we're into season 2. But we always ask the same question to all our guests. But what's the first thing you think about, or what's the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning?
First thing I think about, well, I guess at this age, it's like what's not going to hurt or what's going to hurt as I try to climb out of bed. But really, it's, just like what do I have going on? Like, the wife and kids good? And then from there, it's like, all right, just start the morning routine. What's for breakfast? What do the dogs want to go for a walk? Go out in the backyard, sit and maybe do some breath work and meditation type stuff, and then just kind of roll into the office when I need to.
So that's just, so you have, what's your daily routine? What does that look like? What does that consist of?
Usually it's wake up, remind myself, because I looked at the calendar the night before what I forgot. So look at the calendar, see what I got on the day, and then usually breakfast, dog walk, a lot of times go out and do some breath work, meditation for about 30 minutes in the backyard when the weather's nice. When it's not too cold. I'm a sissy for cold and sissy for hot. So this time of year, it's great.
When did you start doing the breathing?
It's been about a year and a half. It was about the same time I got my kidney transplant. So I started working with Jason Campbell there.
Yeah. Russ and I are both members of the Genius Network, and Jefferson Fisher came and spoke. He wrote the book, The Next Conversation. And he told everybody, do this breathing exercise with me. If you've never done it, just do it. And I'm thinking, breathing, this is nothing. Like, it's not going to do anything for me. And he said, breathe in with your nose for 3 seconds, and then do it again for 3 seconds, and then exhale. And I did it. It's like, man, I feel really good right now.
And it just kind of like, that's the dumbest thing. Like, yeah, there's another guy named James Nestor that has a book called Breathe. And then Jason Campbell, he's trained in Eastern medicine. He just goes through, like, it's pretty intense. It's about a 30 to 45 minute breath work session that he does 4 days a week. And sometimes he's like, you're going to feel like you're dying, and the lizard brain comes out, and the mic, like, and you just kind of starts it all off. But it really, what I notice is it's like the dumbest, stupidest, simple thing you can do that gives probably some of the most benefit. Like, I think Jason says you take like 20,000 breaths a day. And so, like, you should learn how to do it the right way. Because many don't do it. Like, you should breathe nasal breather. You should not breathe with your mouth open. There's a lot of different things that you should and shouldn't be doing. So,
and as a lead, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, what's the biggest benefit you've gotten from it? And also you, Guff, what have you gotten from it as well?
So what I've gotten from it is 2 things. One, I believe anytime you're about to have a hard conversation or you're caught off guard, could be with your kids, could be with someone at work, for people that have employees, and is your first word should be your breath. So instead of being upset right away or getting triggered or trying to convince someone why they should do something, it's that should be your first word, is your breath. So that's one thing that's really helped me, Jason. And then the second is if I come home and, kids and things are going on and whatever, and I'm like, what? Sometimes I don't even realize how agitated I am or stressed I am. But then when I start feeling a certain way, I can just do that with my breath. 3 seconds in with the nose, another 3 seconds in with the nose, 6 seconds out with the nose. I'm just like, man, my world is good again.
Yeah, that's super quick. Box breathing does really good to kind of get you in a little trance there. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff it's crazy how simple it is, but it just kind of really, really works. So
Cool.
So how are you ending your day, Russ?
Yeah. How do you like to unwind, man?
Usually my unwind time is with my Kindle. So I like to read. Right now I'm reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe in that series, which is kind of a really interesting series. So, but it's a way to kind of read without getting like my iPad. You can stare at your iPad and then you start doom scrolling, you just go crazy and then realize it's like 5-6 hours later. But like when you get Kindle and you can change it to where it's not the bright light, so it's the soft white light, and it kind of gets you and you just read for half hour, 30 minutes and just knock you right out. So that's usually the quickest thing I like to do to unwind.
I like it. Okay, good deal. So fun question here. It's Friday night. You're 13 or 14 years old. You got $10 in your pocket. What's little Russ doing? In the 80s, right? Maybe early 90s.
1986.
Is it Friday Night Lights Friday night, or is it something?
Yeah,
else?
like there's always
Stranger Things?
like the Westwood football game is definitely on there.
Here you go.
It was no offense, it's just free to walk in back in the day, If not, like the way you really wanted to go like you're a baller, go hit the Fiesta Mall, bro. Go
I
cruise
remember the Fiesta
Mall.
Mall.
And go wander around there. Yeah, just go hit the Fiesta Mall and see what's there. If you're feeling a little risky, go hit the Spencer store. But
That's awesome.
It's now like a pile of dirt right now, right?
yeah,
Oh,
it's a
man.
pile of dirt, and I don't know. They're going to put a bunch of apartments and stuff. The other thing back then was what? The bear cover. If you wanted to go skating, you want to be a super rebel.
There you go.
So
What's the bear cover?
it was a local skate shop, like
Okay.
original skate shop back
Yeah.
in the when skateboards kind of really first started taking off.
When your biggest fear would be to be called a poser. Like that's not what you wanted. You wanted to be a real skater.
Yeah, there was one Saturday we went down there and they brought a trailer with like this half pipe on it, and all the boys were there, like Peralta, Tony Hawk, all those guys were there.
Oh, cool.
I mean, they were 2-3 years older than me, so they were probably 18 or so,
That's cool.
and they were just bombing on this thing. We're just all like,
That's cool.
showing us what skateboarders should really do, and this is before they actually really got good. But it was pretty crazy what they did back then.
That's awesome. Well, let's get into the business here. Titan Restoration started it in 1994, or is that right?
94, 95, 96,
okay.
it's all fuzzy. 94 got back from the mission, so yeah, shortly thereafter.
Okay. So started it at age 21, 22. One van. So what are you think some things that helped you get from one van to, 50 plus or whatever you got going on these days?
Yeah, so the one van was to get me out of not flipping burgers or going to be a waiter or like working
Yeah.
construction while I was going to college. So so I was cleaning for property management, vacant units, those kinds of things, going and clean. They were vacant. I could go afternoons, work right around college school schedules. And then came across an apartment that was flooded. And I was like, ooh, this is exciting. Sucked it all up, did a whole bunch of really wrong stuff that I probably really apologize to whoever owned that apartment at that time. But it really interested me and piqued my interest and really started me on kind of the trajectory I was on. At the time, I was going to school for accounting. So my goal was to just use it as a way to just kind of transition to accounting, but kind of started growing up and building up, and it really was enjoyable, and just kind of went from there. College, my senior year of college, I had a partnership at the time. It was kind of falling apart with a business partnership. And so December, about this time of year, my senior year, I said, well, I've got a wife and 2 kids. I can just focus on school, finish that out, and go get it. At the time, it was like a $35,000 a year starting salary. And I'm like, I'm already making that doing part-time. So let's go focus on this.
That's when the entrepreneurial wheels kind of started turning.
And that's when I got really serious about it. Yeah.
So that was when you deepened your commitment at that point.
Yeah, I was kind of like all in.
Yeah, it's interesting because we talk about that quite a bit, about deepening your commitment, and then also saying no to certain things or giving something up. So in that circumstance, you gave up the last semester of school, went all in, and fully committed to your business.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Addition by subtraction. I know we've talked about it too, Russ, and this is something we ask all our salespeople is, what did you give up this year? What did you give up? It's not what can you add to your plate or what can you do differently? It's what are you going to give up? And that seems to deepen people's commitment. When did the business start going from small mom and pa to like, hey, let's run a business?
So 96 is probably about 2003, I think.
Okay.
No, 2000, actually 2000. Yeah, 2003 is when I was diagnosed with a kidney disease, with IgA nephropathy. And so that's kind of when I really started getting serious about it. I'm like, hey, and I tell people, like, it's the worst way to get serious about something is be forced. Like, I was forced into it. Like, it's easier to, like, not be forced.
Yeah.
And so I was forced into it. And so that's when I really got serious. That's when I hired my first business coach.
Okay.
Phil Rosebrick with Business Mentors was the name of the company. They were a restoration-specific company.
Cool.
And so I got tired. I'd never worked for anybody else. I'd always just worked for myself. So I didn't have a way. It's like everything I did, I had to reinvent the wheel. So I'm like, let's find somebody who's already kind of has a bunch of wheels and can kind of share them with me. So that's what I did.
When you say forced, Russ, what do you mean? You say forced into it.
I was forced into realizing that I was kind of a ticking time bomb, and I didn't know when I was going to have to take 3, 4, 5, 6 months. In actuality, it ended up being closer to about 14, 15 months as the total time I ended up having to step away and take time off from the business. But I had to get really clear on how do I develop people, an executive team, or people that are, part of a leadership team that can take over in my absence, that they have the systems, the processes, the trust, the knowledge to be able to say, here, run with it, and put my whole family's livelihood and trust into like what they're doing. So that's what I mean by really forced into doing something. I had to get really clear, and that changed my goals. Like a lot of guys are like, hey, let's just go run, let's go make money, let's just hammer it out. They don't have that forcing mechanism saying, hey, you're going to have to step back and take some time away. And while you're at it, your 3, 4 kids and your wife are going to have to also, be dependent on this without having to go in to the business and do the work. So
this is your baby.
Oh yeah,
You're forced
first kid.
Yeah, you're forced to step away. How are you then finding the balance between dealing with an illness, family, father, husband, and business in that time frame?
A lot of long hours. So, a lot of long hours. I was out on the truck a lot myself. So, talking to Jen, my wife, we're reminiscing. We're like, hey, we used to go to Christmas. Every family party, we'd drive separate. She would take the kids and I'd go because a lot of times I'd get a call. I'd be like, all right, I got to go do a flood. And so then I just take off and then show up sometime 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning whenever we were done, and then get up and go do the next day. So it was a lot back then.
I think
my kids don't remember it, but they just see the.
Dad's always been around.
Yeah, Dad's always, yeah.
You bring up a really good leadership principle, and something that I'm going to start thinking through is, what if you were forced to step away from your business? What would change the way you operate? You would probably accelerate some deadlines. You'd probably get better systems in place, hire people. And every business owner could really think about that, that exercise that you were forced to do. And also you said you hired a business coach. You also told us the way you unwind is by being a learner and reading. Do you think that that's what started you being a lifelong learner? Was all of a sudden you're like, get outside coaching. Hire someone. This grows. Wow. I was trying to get out of this thing, and I'm working less now, and now I'm making more money. How did that work?
Yeah. So as far as a lifelong learner, let me back up. So I've always kind of been an entrepreneur. So when I was 6, I was kind of substitute paper route boy. There's a guy in my neighborhood, and he'd go on vacation. He'd need somebody to do substitute. So I did that. And when I was 8, I took over for him. So every morning I'm sitting in my kitchen with a stack of 50 or 60 newspapers, and you got to fold them in half. So while I'm sitting there, I'm basically sitting there. You got a stack of papers, and it's kind of mindless. You fold it in half, take a rubber band, throw it on there. It never rains in Arizona, so you don't have to stuff it in the bag either. So you just kind of throw it. Well, I'm doing that. I got a newspaper here, so I'm reading the newspaper, just constantly just digesting and devouring whatever's front page of the news, the biggest stuff, for 20, 30 minutes while I do that, and then you go throw the papers. And and I've always enjoyed reading. So it's something, but it really went away from reading the paper, reading like fiction type stuff, Louis L'Amour type books, to really going into, when I got into the business coaches and like, hey, you should read these books. And that's where I really started getting into the thought leader stuff. So it's been something that it's the only way to really learn. Like, they didn't teach half the stuff to run a business in high school or college. There's like no money making 101 company, business or classes or anything like that. So like, how do you learn this stuff? And that's what I tell my kids, like, you got to go and like really take control over your own learning. And it's never been easier to do it. Right now, like, I just saw a new feature on ChatGPT where you hit the plus and go in a bunch of different things. And it just teaches you. You're like, all right, we're now in tutor mode. Teach me how to run a business. Teach me how to become a better leader. Teach me how to become a better CEO. Like the possibilities are endless right now. So
Really are.
No, it's amazing. We've talked about AI a lot as well. I'm sure we're just, scratching the proverbial surface with AI for sure. As you're maturing through, so you're forced to move into a step out. How are you then developing leaders within your company, Russ? Like, what are some of the principles and core values that you're bringing into your organization?
So I leveraged the coaches to really help develop my team. So whenever they were doing one-on-one coaching with me, I'd have them do it with my number 2 or number 3 also. And so I would leverage them into it. And as the company grew and scaled, we just kept upgrading coaches or changing coaches. A lot of times it felt like the coach had a repertoire of stuff that they would do and they were good at. And then after 2-3 years, you kind of started to get regurgitated material. And so we'd go through that and then it'd be like, okay, what's the next step? And then we'd step away from the coach, try and fly, and then we'd come up with a whole new set of problems and go get a different coach. So we had a restoration specific coach for a while. We did like a peer-to-peer group mastermind that worked really, really well for a lot of my executive team and a lot of even just employees, where we would go to different companies and we would evaluate their companies. We'd go through, it's called business networks, and we'd basically sit down and interview all their employees. And so as owners, we'd go over financials, and then everybody else would kind of go over just operations. And so if they were great at marketing, we'd bring our marketing teams and bring that. So it's a pretty inexpensive way to really develop a lot of deep talent pretty quickly and give them a peer network group. The other thing, as we started growing, like when Sammy's been with me for, I think, 13 years now, and she's been through all different positions. But when she became COO in 2020, I put her in Cameron Harold's COO Alliance. And
He's the one that does the Vivid Vision, correct?
Vivid Vision,
Okay,
yeah. He was the COO for 1-800-GOT-JUNK when they went from like 3 employees to 100 million plus, and just amazing entrepreneur guy. But it was like, how do we, hey, literally, I said, Sammy, why don't you be my COO? And then I called Cameron. I said, hey, I need you to train my COO. Here you go.
Yeah.
And just pass it off. And so it's really just, it seems expensive sometimes. And you're like, well, what if I invest all this money in Sammy and she decides to leave? The real question is like, what if I don't invest this money and she decides to stay? Like, how do you, like what's the opportunity cost there? And so I've always been like, how do we just keep bringing people in to teach, really give people a mentorship and give the employees in my team more opportunities, more people, more, access to knowledge just inside the industry and outside the industry. So
that's fascinating, because a lot of times what happens as you begin to get more successful, like sometimes I feel like we have all the answers at that point in time.
You stop being curious.
Yeah, like to maintain the humility through the process and to maintain your curiosity through the process. Where does that come from, Russ? Is there anybody in your life, any mentors in your life that kind of brought that, helped you kind of carry that forward?
There's been a lot of good other leaders in the restoration space that that have kind of helped me along. Like whenever I've had a question, they've always been kind of learning. And in our industry, I was kind of lucky to get into the industry when it was kind of went from just really obscure carpet cleaners that were kind of trying to do some stuff into a group of guys that were really trying to come up with a set of standards and create, some guidelines and create a really solid industry around the restoration space. And just out of pure blind luck, I went to a class back in Tennessee in like 99. And so I'm like, oh, there's this dude in Tennessee, he floods his house, and we go in and dry it, and he shows us how to do it. But that was like the second or third class he'd ever taught. And I was in there with all these, I'm like 25-year-old snot-nosed brat, ready to light the world on fire. And the guys that were in there, like, I made some really lifelong friends just from that class. They were the OGs. They were probably, 40s at the time. They were well respected. They're the engineers. They were the guys that were coming up with the chemicals. They were the guys doing the equipment sales. They were the engineers actually creating the dehumidifiers and the equipment that were in there. Like, OG guys that were in there and just took me under their wing, and we just been collaborating. And it's like, how do I become smart like them? And like, you just got to learn and just spend time and talk with people and try stuff out and experiment and just kind of really, it's just like like you said, just got to be curious about it. Like, how do you try something faster? How do you get something back better? Like, how do you just make this less painful for the customer?
Yeah.
And so you were so give me the story and the backdrop between you and Russ and how you guys met. And Guffey was your first hire?
I was one of the first hires.
Okay.
Whoa.
I was a part-time.
You weren't number one, Guff?
I mean, I don't think he had a full-time employee for a while. I was a part-timer.
Him and Nate were like John at the time, my brother John. So, but no, like, so let's back up. So I'm Guffey's older brother, JR's same age. And Guffey's dad was my T-ball coach. So I knew JR, and we played baseball and sports together. And so way back when. So before Guffey even showed up on the scene, like, we was friends with the family. So we've gone way back. So,
and then I was friends, grew up with his little brother, and said, hey, do you want to make, $5 an hour or something? I'm like, yeah, what do we got to go do? Clean some carpets or whatever. So we go and clean carpets. And by the end of the day, I just remember having the thought after some manual labor thinking, I'm going to have a job where I shower in the morning, not at night. And so Russ, you helped me become the
monster we had before us
in the financial services sector. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But no, our families have known each other for years and grew up when I moved when I was 12 or so. And then your family moved, basically next door neighbors.
Yeah, I was like 98 when my parents lived there. So
okay. Yeah. So we go.
I never lived in that house. Like,
oh, you didn't? You were.
That was when
out.
we got married. Like, about a month before we got married, like, my parents moved over there, and my dad said, "You're getting married in a month. Stay here." So I had to stay at the old house. They all moved in there, and then so yeah, I'm the only one that never lived in that house.
So Russ called me one time. If a client ever calls you with this question, just know that it's hard to answer. He says, "Hey, I just bought a house. I need you to insure it. We're gonna light it on fire, and we're gonna flood it all the time, so we can teach people, how to do restoration and give people CE credits and do all this stuff. But can we insure that if we're just lighting it on fire and flooding it all the time?" I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one here.
We haven't lit it on fire yet.
Oh, that's good. But you guys use the flood house, or did for a while, and still do.
We still do.
And so that's a really cool training, kind of a unique thing that they do is, hey, come watch how a flood works,
Yeah, we won't say what carrier it is, but in case they're watching. But
hopefully they're not listening to this.
Yeah. I think we've got.
You said yet about the fire. I think that eliminates most of them, if not all of them.
We haven't filed a claim with them yet either. So
intentional acts are not covered.
I think we're about we're over 400 floods into this thing.
400 floods in that house.
Yeah. So we're over 400 floods in it. I just had the air quality checked a couple of weeks ago. I had a granddaughter. So my son and his wife live in that same house. They've lived there for 3 years. But so we flood 2 rooms of that house, and we do that probably 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a month. And so I've got like a 2-week-old granddaughter that's living in there that we did all the air quality on, and it's totally fine. And so it's all the hygienists are still amazed, even though I've known them. They're like, "So how often do you tear this apart?" I'm like, "Well, we've only torn apart 3 or 4 times since 2009. So it's how long we've had it doing this. And so really the mold counts are really, really low. And it's just a way we can show that, hey, we kind of know what we're doing.
So it seems like the trades are kind of making a comeback. People are labor. Maybe it's more lucrative than it's been in the past. And what do you think about the future of construction? You're probably pretty bullish on the AI building houses and stuff, but where do you think the future of construction, if you were an entrepreneur right now, age 22, 23, thinking about starting a construction business, would you say don't do it, or would you say
jump in, bro?
Jump in, lean in, and
lean
what do
into
you
it,
think?
but lean into it with the knowledge that you're going to have. Like, lean into it and become a plumbing company that's based in technology, or a technology-based electrical company, or a technology-based HVAC type company, or a trades company, whatever ABC trade company is. It's still a ways out before the robots are going to take over and be able to fully do your job. But at some point, if you're in that mid-20s range, you're in a unique position to, number one, understand the trade, get a good enough base in there. So you'll be 8-10 years into this trade. You'll understand all the nuances of it. You'll be, between now and then, applying different knowledge bases, building out your playbooks, building out your automations and so that when the robots and the mechanics of the robots can actually function, you'll be able to download that knowledge and be able to really start toying with it and running there. But it's not far away, but it is long enough out that I think there's enough that you guys can really run with it and play with it. So especially if you don't want to go to college. Right now, lawyers and accountants are valuable because they democratize, or they hoard the knowledge. Like, they have the books and the learning. Like, in our cell phones right now, we have all that same book, same access to everything, and even a better memory than most of them. So those guys are in a bigger world of hurt than we are, than the trades are, because their knowledge is that they've charged, hundreds or thousands of dollars an hour for is now basically free or available.
It's crazy.
And which was like, we never thought that was going to happen. We thought it was going to be the exact opposite.
Correct.
Programmers are going to be around forever. Oh, those guys are done.
Yep.
All the white collar stuff.
Sam Altman, the creator of ChatGPT, has a quote. He says, even he was surprised. He thought blue collar jobs were going to go first. And it is not that way right now.
It's an engineering wonder there, because it's, you got Elon running away, saying, hey, the hardest thing we're doing right now is there's 27 things of function here just to make a hand.
The human hand is very complex. I've heard him say that.
But he's got, they're working on those hard problems to be able to do that. And like, man. So
it's just a race. Competition for the biggest companies in the world to solve a lot of these problems and make things faster, easier. It's an interesting time to own a business, interesting time to be alive. Still very optimistic. I'm not an AI doomsdayer by any means. I think it will only help those that want to enhance relationships, those that I think it could also make our society kind of go back to, hey, I want more human connection, even though it can automate a ton of stuff that we don't want to do or necessarily need.
that's the biggest constraint right now, labor.
Yeah.
So remove the labor. Like, at that point, what becomes more valuable is the human interactions and the human experiences.
Yeah.
It's
Jason,
moving so much faster than, like, that's the thing. Like, with AI for me, like, the more I learn about it, the more I learn. I feel like more of a late adopter every time it's moving so fast and just changing so much. Like, I read recently where a company laid off 400 of their accountants, like, instant. I'm thinking to myself as you guys are talking about it, like, I wonder if I gave $1,000 like to an investment advisor and $1,000 to AI, like, at the end of the year, who would do better, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just simple things like that, like, just really, because how far away are we from AI supremacy? Meaning smarter than any human, can calculate things faster than any human, solve problems faster than anybody. Maybe 2-3 years, 5 years max.
I look at it as a couple of things. So going to people getting laid off, like in the 40s and 50s before computers, there was just dudes in green visors just like crunching numbers at a bank, just writing stuff down. Those dudes are gone, but banks have obviously gotten much bigger. Like, I read an article today about Elon talking about, hey, yes, we've accumulated a lot of wealth, but everything we've done, we've made the pie bigger since the early 1900s. There's everything we've done, like, okay, let's do more space travel. He created a whole SpaceX division, and there's thousands of engineers that now work in that. There's, he's always made the pie bigger. So I think going back to it, there's going to be plenty of time for everybody to be a part of it if they want to be a part of it, and they really are really they'll be able to take advantage of it. But at the same time, it's just going to be a different set of skills or a different need that's going to come up, and it's going to be an interesting time. Maybe we go to the Jetsons 4-hour work week and we make enough money doing that, and we're doing what we want on the other times. Guffey can spend more time at Lake Powell or whatever that looks like.
That. So got to bring people with me though.
Yeah.
Hey, with Starlink, you can work and like nobody even knows you're at Lake Powell. Take all your, technology has made it so much easier.
Well, we have a lot of, our clients are business owners, entrepreneurs, and I've noticed you have one of your kids in Genius Network Youth. Do you want to explain that to our listeners, what that is and why you think that could benefit him, and maybe some of our listeners have kids that they're thinking the same thing?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. Do we have enough time?
Maybe. Of course we do, man. Let's go.
Okay, so
you're a client. We just get to sit here and listen.
So Joe Polish created, so he's got his Genius Network, which is a group of entrepreneurs. Like, how does he make a better entrepreneur? Through putting them into what he calls the Star Wars Cantina. There's just a bunch of really unique dudes in this room. And so they came up with this harebrained idea about 6-8 months ago. Like, how do we give kids, and when we say kids, their ideal kids are somewhere between 16, 17, and 25. Trax, my youngest son, is 15. He's the youngest in the group. But they get together and they get some really crazy. This past weekend, they just went to Reno, Nevada. So Tom Powell, who's one of the guys in there, he's a big Silicon Valley investor. He pulled some strings. He knows some people at Tesla. So they got to go tour the Tesla factory and go check that out. They got to meet with another guy named Garnett Morris, who's the number one life insurance policy seller in Canada. He sells 50% of all life insurances in Canada. And he was giving these kids advice, business advice, life advice. And then they got to go do a Shark Tank type thing where they pitched ideas to a group of real investors. Some of these kids have raised $2-3 million in the past since this program started in June. There's some baller kids in here that are just they're
impressive.
Going to go anywhere. So they also do, if you're familiar with the YPO or those, they have what's called the Vault experience, where you've got a group of guys where you get in and you do what's called a hot seat, and you just solve problems, talk about problems, and you're with these groups each time. So they do vaults they've done 3 groups there. On top of that, each of these kids is paired with a mentor who meets with them on a monthly basis, at least monthly, between 30 minutes to an hour, if not more.
You could say the same thing to your kid, but when it comes from your dad, it's just different, right?
Dude, it lands different. I don't know how much Johnny paid me to talk to you because he couldn't get through to you, but
exactly.
Hey Russ, can you tell Guff this? I've been telling him for years.
It worked.
But all of a sudden it worked. So, but yeah, so it's they get access to these just incredible.
They come and speak too. I know that Robert Cialdini came and spoke to them on influence, and all these other
Michael Bernoff
guests.
was there. They got to go get a cooking class with Mark Tyler Bell, who's a world-renowned chef. And so, they get access to just crazy experiences.
Just wonder if the future of education is headed that direction in some ways, of just experiences and travel experiences and history, actually going to the city with a group. And if you go to Boston for a week with a group, you'll learn way more about the revolution than sitting in somewhere for a whole semester.
And it's personal.
And it's personal.
You walked it. You're
you smelled it. You saw it. You felt it. I just wonder.
It's a headset now. You can get the whole experience without ever having to fly there.
Oh,
Or
that's true. Yeah.
But it's also being around other like-minded entrepreneur type kids that all have ADD. They all have it's part of the entrepreneur. You're like, bright shiny thing. They're just driven differently and they're built differently. Then they're not built for classrooms.
Yeah.
And they're just like they have these big ideas and they're they'll have Colby quick starts of 9s where they're just like ready, fire, aim. They're just like just 100 things going on, but they when they're in the school system, they're not around that. The normal traditional school system. The school system will punish them, and they really don't like that type of thinking. But when they're around these other guys, they're just like they start feeding off each other, and it's like wildfire.
what's the next 5 to 10 years look like for you, Russ?
10 years, man. I'm 62 by then. 5 to 10 years is just keep grinding, keep building. It's you build the systems, you build the playbook, and you get the people. Keep giving them more opportunities. Like you pay your executives and you pay your team a lot of money. And it's like, here, you go do it, and just keep building and keep going. Like right now, we've gone from 1 to 4 locations, and just keep building more locations, expanding out. Go do some acquisitions, or you're either growing or dying, so you got to grow. So how do you grow and how do you plan that out and keep intentionally doing it? We started doing a lot of people have done have heard of EOS or heard of scaling up these different business operating systems. We just started working with a new coach. He'll be our 4th coach or something in the past years. It's named Michael Erath it's called Next Level Growth. And he was the number 1 EOS coach for many, many years till EOS sold to private equity like everybody does. They exited, Gino Wickman did. But then it became a franchise and you can only teach EOS stuff. And so he's like, all right, I'm out. So he's got a group of coaches that really use the EOS, they use scaling up, they use all the tools to just build a better executive team to really just take it to the next level where you're really, instead of checking boxes, it can feel a lot of we had our meeting check or we did our annual planning check. It's like he defines them around obsessions. Like as a CEO, what's my obsession is to create enterprise value. And like Sammy's obsession, who's my COO, what's her obsession? And then you have critical outcomes that are based on that. And it's all based on scorecards. And it just creates, it's like, how do you build a business full of A players that are all measured and accountable to each other? And then you really just take it to, just take it off. And so we've been going pretty heavy in that process the last 6 months, and it's really exciting to see where that goes.
All right, Russ, I got to share this story. We took you on a fishing trip as a client appreciation fishing trip, and the first fish you caught in the first 10 minutes in Idaho was a trophy big brown trout, and I remember freaking out, and the guide was freaking out, and you're like, what? I mean, doesn't everyone catch 25, 26-inch brown trouts on their first try? What was that like, man? That was super
First
fun.
Try, first cast.
Well, he was teaching him how to cast. He's like, oh, you kind of want to have some finesse. And he's over there looking all, like a robot and no finesse. And all of a sudden he's like, as soon as that thing hits, our guide just went nuts. And that's when it's a big fish, when the guides that do it every day.
Yeah. When they get excited.
Yeah. It's like, what
you
do
know
I
it's
have
time
here?
for you
What
to
was
get
going through
excited
your
too.
mind? Were you like, I got to land this thing? Or were you like, what's happening?
Well,
it's fly fishing too, so it's new.
So let's back up. So I've never fly fished before. We're on a fly fishing float trip. I've seen fly rods, and I hear all these guys talking about them. Like, all you guys have talked about it, but I'm like, okay, that's the dumbest thing. My fishing experience is with a Walmart Zebco 33. And then Guppy takes us those dumpy lodge, South Fork Lodge.
Yeah,
it's kind of
dumpy.
And so very first trip we're out, we're like, it's windy, I throw, and it just flies straight behind. It's like a kite. And so guide's teaching us. It was Jordan, right? Is that who it was? Yeah,
right.
Just really nice dude. He's like, okay, you do this. And I'm like, just trying to mend and do these dumb things. And we're just right on the bank. Guide's got us just dialed, and just boom, we see this brown shark come up off the edge. And he's like, just pull it up. I'm like, okay. And just everything he said, reel it in. I'm trying to, I don't even know how to reel it in because I haven't done this yet.
He's
Keep
like,
your rod
strip
up,
it in.
okay.
You're like, I don't know what that is.
And I'm
it actually helped because
I didn't
you
have
want to
any
let
line.
it run. Yeah, he didn't really have any slack because he was just such a short cast, and so he's just letting it run, which is what you're supposed to do with a big fish. But there was no slack, so it worked.
And
out
I didn't
well.
have it stripped, and I didn't have anything going on, so it's just like, oh, just keep my rod up. And
It's just amazing because, first of all, to hook into the fish of that size is one thing, right? But
that thing was hungry. That thing just like swallowed it all the way down.
The hard part is the next 90% after that, right? Getting it in the boat. That's the.
You just listen to great leaders, and they just tell you what to do, and you just like pull it in, and next thing you know, there's like, as soon as it got in the boat, everybody's like, yeah. But until then, they were like really kind of biting their tongue and.
See?
Let
Great
me
coaching.
Be super ignorant on what was happening, but yeah,
being teachable.
It was my
Great
first time
coaching.
fly fishing, and probably about the 10th cast maybe or something.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought it was the first cast.
Well,
first,
the story now. I mean,
it
it's
gets
the first
better with the
cast.
fishing story, so
Yeah,
it gets
of
better
course.
It's
with
like
time.
this big fish now. No,
It's now
still,
40 inches long.
Yeah. No,
That was a great memory.
It was an amazing fish. That whole trip, like we caught amazing fish throughout the whole trip. But yeah,
That was a
Fun
great
time.
experience, man.
thanks
Well,
for the
let's-
invite. That was awesome.
Speaking of memories, Russ, what are 2 or 3 things or one thing that you're reflective on or that you're proud on that could if we were here all day, you'd get really emotional about, but something maybe in your career that you're really proud of and you feel like is part of your legacy?
I think the biggest thing I'm proud of, so Guffey's part of the West Mesa crew here that just, we all went to Westwood and we're part of, a lot of blue collar guys in our neighborhood. Like, I think the biggest legacy I want to leave is like, I've created something that has allowed a lot of other people to really enjoy great careers and really better themselves, their families, like life-changing stuff that we've done that's able to just through a little simple carpet cleaning restoration business. But like there's ways to do that. There's ways to create it. There's ways to create opportunities for others. And as you grow your vision and grow your business, you're able to encapsulate everybody else's dreams inside of your dream, which is, growing a business. But that's the biggest thing right there.
Amen.
Well, congratulations on your success and your future success. It's fun to always enjoy learning something from our guests too. It's just I took a few notes. I'm always really interested in what high achieving folks have to say and what motivates them, and so I appreciate you stopping by.
I appreciate the invite. Thanks so much. It's awesome.
Appreciate you.